Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality.
Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
See, I put myself on screen because I wasn't sure Mathias was going to make it back. Welcome into Order Up, the FOC show. I'll let him do the job now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got to love when he gets that 10-second timer and I'm running on to screen. But thank you guys all for tuning in to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. We have some incredible comics that we're going to be talking about that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, January 27th. We're going to talk about all sorts of interesting news in the comic industry and how it relates to Final Order Cutoff. But before all that, I want to mention that we're going to have the most incredible guest. Not only is he a former retailer, but he is the senior sales manager at Oni Press, Michael Torma. This is going to be an awesome show, and you're going to want to tune in for it. A great opener. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. And we have some awesome comics that are being on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, January 27th. This is going to be an awesome full week of comics. And as always, if you want to see all the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff, you can check them out at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue. or Lunar Distribution. At Previews World, you're going to see pretty much every publisher from Marvel, Image, Oni, Dark Horse, Dynamite, etc. But if you want to see the DC comics, you're going to go to lunardistribution.com. In fact, it's one of those interesting things that in this ever-changing world of how comic publishing is done, and 2025 specifically, we've seen some changes. Last week, if you watched the show, you couldn't see Image Comics at previewsworld.com. They're back, as well as a lot of other comics that Diamond doesn't always have the opportunity to distribute. In this case, they do. But it's a world where we try and condense everything to make it as easy as possible, because we're not only going to talk about the hottest books, the best covers, the new series, etc., but you can see it all at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue or lunardistribution.com, and then reach out to your local comic shop, wherever it is you buy comics, to get your orders in. The sooner the better. And if you don't have a local comic shop, you can always check the link that we provide, so that way you can get your order in on books you want, guaranteeing that they're going to be at the store or shipped to you, waiting for you when you arrive at your local comic shop, hopefully, or we'll get them mailed out to you. Now, this week, we have an incredible special guest, and we're going to do something slightly different than we normally do. Traditionally, we interview our special guest midway through the show, but as this guest is not only a key figure in the administration and sales of comics, he is also a former salesperson at a retail store. We're going to have him give his opinion on some of these awesome FOC titles. So without further ado, I want to introduce you all to Michael Torma.
Hey, how are we doing? How's everyone doing out there? My name is Michael Torma, or Torma for short. I am the senior sales manager at Oni Press. Used to work at Third Eye Comics for, 15 years. Bald Ninja Turtle, pizza eating, comic reading. Yeah, fiend. Thanks for having me.
Love Torma. It is an honor to have you. So, I mean, as you said, you had 15 years of retail experience at a major comic book shop in the Maryland area. And now you're going to be here giving us some opinions before we talk about exactly what you currently do, some incredible Oni books.
Yeah, no, super stoked. I believe there's a comic for everybody, right? And that's what we're here to show. Like everybody should be reading comics. Everybody needs to be reading comics, especially today.
Absolutely. So out of curiosity, because you have quite a few years of experience in comic retail, was Final Order Cutoff an important thing to you, your store, and your customers?
Final Order Cutoff definitely helps a shop get its numbers right. It helps a shop kind of control what they need for a shelf. Now, Third Eye got to a point where the stock was so large that we carried just about everything. But in those early days and those middle days and those almost giant days, like FOC was do or die. FOC, it makes everyone's life just that much easier when they know exactly how many issues are coming in, when they know how many people are going to be reading a series. It can help them plan for the rest of the series, for other series, for tie-in stuff. You know, you have some shops where from an FOC, they can learn, okay, I'm getting more people reading horror stuff, or I'm getting more people getting into Cape and Cowl. I think it's one of the most crucial dates of the week, of the month, of the year.
Absolutely. And all the more reason why we love you guys that tune into the show, make yourself aware of the comics that are on FOC week after week, and particularly those of you who reach out to your local comic shop and let them know what it is you want before they have to finalize orders on Monday. So with that, let's dive directly in to the comics on FOC this week, and we're going to start it off at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue. As you can see, these are the orders due Monday, January 27th, this coming Monday. And we're going to start it off with Image Comics. It is nice to see Image is back on Previews World, that Diamond's still working with them to make sure you guys are aware of what's coming out, because last week was a bit of a twist. And we actually have another twist I want to bring up, but we'll get to it momentarily. Let's start off with these Image books and talk about some of the amazing ones. A lot of continuing series at Image Comics this week. So we have Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn continuing on. Doll Parts, which I am particularly amazed with. A lot of covers. One I want to point out, at Previews World, you can see the D cover by Kyofi is not yet there, because we do this live as Final Order Cutoff is finalizing. So you guys get to be the first people to, see everything and discuss it. But sometimes the covers aren't there. Now, this cover is available, and we'll show it to you at the end of the show, because it is a very big honorable mention. But I always want to point out that Final Order Cutoff finalizes at, what is it? I believe 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
Somebody have information?
1 p.m. Eastern Standard
1
Time.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, yeah. So when we start the show. So you are sometimes seeing us scrambling to get this information together. If you ever wonder why we'll have those moments of like, oh, let me get info, it's because this stuff is really formulating as we put together the show. But fun thing that we get to talk about later in depth, and that's why we have wonderful guests like Torma to help us talk about these new things as the developments are happening. So
Image, a lot of continuing series that you can see on Previous World, Free Agents, G.I. Joe by Joshua Williamson continuing to kick butt, the final issue of Holy Roller.
Holy Roller was a surprise for me. Like, I picked up issue 1 thinking, okay, this book looks wild. Turns out it was wild, but like in the best sort of Rick Remender meets and Andy Samberg, like, kind of way. Like, and this is Andy Samberg from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and SNL and all that kind of stuff. Like, this is it's Kingpin meets Batman meets Iron Man, where a bowling ball is the weapon of choice, and it's incredible.
And I mean, it's crazy to see like a major celebrity like Andy Samberg, like showing his love of comics and working with legendary Rick Remender. Like, that is a fun combo. I'm waiting for a Lonely Island video with Rick Remender.
Yeah,
Tell me,
right.
like you were gonna say something, man.
Oh, well, I was gonna say Holy Roller reminded me of like you were saying, like Batman, or I don't know, something like The Tick meets like the Mystery Men, but more brutal through that Rick Remender like lens.
Right.
I hold it in the same regard as like The Pedestrian or something,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then I mean, Hollow Hitlers. Like, I don't even think you need to go into the detail on Hollow Hitlers, although it's amazing to see that awkwardly on the cover. It's a weird and goofy book, and it's sad that it's coming to an end, but final issue is going to be in shops mid-February on the 19th, and you can order your final issue right now, issue 9. I'm kind of shocked they didn't go to issue 10, but I guess sometimes when a series ends, that's where it ends.
Yeah, bittersweet.
So, things that continue, though, we have an awesome series getting its second story arc started, Power Fantasy. This is Kieran Gillen and Casper Wijngaard's awesome new Image series. If you haven't read Power Fantasy, the first trade paperback hits stores this Wednesday. There is even a direct market exclusive only available at your local comic shop, so make sure you go and grab that one, or grab a trade wherever you can find trades with the traditional mass market cover. Because you need to get into it in time to read issue 6. Power Fantasy is an awesome Image series. If you've ever read any of Kieran's epic world-building tales like Die, Wicked and Divine, or others, if you like those, you're going to love Power Fantasy. This is going to be a big one. I really think this is going to be a insane issue. If you read where issue 5 left off, if you haven't, grab the trade. Let's see, another big one. Speaking of trades, we're going to talk a lot about trades this week. A lot of great trades on FOC, new and old. But Redcoat from Ghost Machine. This is a tale of an immortal Redcoat who survived the war between England and America, the newly formed America. Danny Ward in the comments, who is our sales rep for Ghost Machine, giving a shout out there. This is an awesome book. I really think that the first 7 issues have been phenomenal. Jeff Johns doing what he does best with the stunning artwork of Brian Hitch. And the cool thing with this trade, you're also going to get the origin story in the Geiger 80-page giant that is sold out and going for a fortune because it has the first appearance of Redcoat and many others. I've been loving this series. I don't know if either of you guys had the chance to dive into this yet.
Oh yeah, I mean, give me anything with like alternate history. Give me Immortals. Give me action. Give me Brian Hitch. Brian Hitch could draw like a stack of napkins, and I'd probably be down for 12 issues. Just give me more.
Right.
Yeah, all the Ghost Machine stuff has been a lot of fun too.
Well, and I love that we're getting the twist of this is not the character you would expect to be our protagonist or our immortal. This isn't like the savior and spirit of America. This is very much the opposite. And everything about it, from, like the major figures that we've seen in this, from Albert Einstein to Johnny Appleseed throughout its time, solid cameos and goofy, unexpected twists.
Well, Torma stole my talking point. For me, it's the Brian Hitch art. Like, Jeff Johns' writing is always phenomenal, right?
Right.
So it almost gets discounted in this book a little bit because it's exactly what you expect from Jeff. But Brian Hitch is bringing a whole new level in this book for even my love of Brian Hitch. Like, it's like he found another gear working with Jeff on this book, and it's just been incredible.
Yeah. And I mean, 8 issues for $15 is insane. You're paying less than $2 an issue for this trade paperback of unbelievable content. And once again, the support for the direct market with a direct market exclusive cover you can only get at your local comic shop. You're not finding it on Amazon or Barnes Noble or any of those other places you get comics. You got to go to your local comic shop to get that incredible direct market exclusive.
Always get the direct market exclusive.
Yeah.
Always for
it's a rarer and better version.
It always is.
Or if you're a certain kind of crazy, always buy both.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Last 2 big ones I got to talk on Image before we move on is for Rick Remender fans, if you were loving things like Holy Roller, Strange Girl is getting a 20th anniversary deluxe edition hardcover. And if your store is going really big on this, there might even be a signed option. So definitely talk to your local comic shop on that. But this was always an out there series with like a major cast of artists on there. I'm happy to, it's crazy to think that this is 20 years old. But
yeah, it feels like it's, when I think classic Remender, like old school Remender, Strange Girl is what I always come back to. I mean, if you want fun action, if you want, a girl and her demon story is the best way to put it. But yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember if this was the first time I was aware of Jerome Pena, because it really had this sort of weird, like Steranko from the 70s sort of vibe on all the covers, like just like you see here. And then on the inside, it was such a different feeling book from anything I'd ever read of Rick Remender's, because I knew Rick Remender as an artist. So it was like this weird sort of like, oh, this other guy is drawing this book by this artist. Okay. Oh man, this is incredible. Okay.
Yeah, it was a huge jump from Captain Dingleberry,
Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, this is the guy who would go on to create, Deadly Class and Low, and I mean, even doing all sorts of incredible Marvel and DC books. But yeah, this is old school Rick Remender, and it is still some of his best. I love it, and you're gonna get a really cool option here. I believe this has all 19 issues in hardcover, and it's done as an oversized hardcover for $60. So I mean, not a bad deal. I mean, you're still looking at a great price point. Even though we've had those recent Rick Remender compendiums that have been $60 for like 45 issues recently. Look, that's awesome. It really is. But I mean, like 20 issues for $60, you're still paying below the traditional $4 an issue by a notable amount, by 25%.
Yeah, it's a steal. I mean, the older stuff is like, it's out of print. It's been out of print for a while. And it's like, do yourself a favor. If you're a sucker for hardcovers like I am, like add this to your shelf.
Yeah, and I mean, this is also one of the best examples of reach out to your local comic shop in advance, tell them you want it, because the more people who do it, the more likely your store might be able to get those signed editions. And talk to them about how they're doing it. Like whether that's going to be a little bit of an extra fee or not. It's all up to your local comic shop. But the more people who order it, the more chances your shops get to get really cool extra things like signed copies. Yeah. Love that. I love when retailers and publishers and creators can work together to make those things happen. Last one, Image, World Tree. My God, James has been making the most haunting book with this. You have Jordi Belair doing her stunning artwork in there. Each cover, like the covers, I think, are what literally lead everyone to go into a comic shop and rip this off the wall. Like, this is intense. And if you think the covers are intense, wow, the interiors are going to blow your mind. Yeah, phenomenal series, continuing on with its third storyline, I believe, in this. So,
yeah,
a lot of fun to be had there.
Oh yeah, I mean, anything with Tinian is going to be a blast,
Absolutely. So here's a big one. Big news dropped this week from Boom Studios. So I have to take a moment because this does affect certain stores with Final Order Cutoff. The average viewer, this has no effect on you, but Boom Studios has made an announcement. They were recently acquired by Penguin Random House and were set to move from Diamond Distribution to Penguin Random House on July 1st. Now, with the recent news at Diamond, this has been pushed forward to an April transfer. Now, if your local comic shop still orders things from Diamond and wants to continue ordering from Diamond, you can continue ordering your Boom books from Diamond. However, if you want to get them from the direct distribution of Penguin Random House, that will be available. In fact, I just talked to Vice President of Boom Studios, Josh Hayes, earlier today. Josh is one of the most wonderful men in comics. He is so quick to respond. Like, I send him a message, and within 20 seconds, early in this morning, he's a West Coast guy. He was already on it with responses and information. But for those of you guys who are curious, if you're a retailer out there, or your retailer might need to know this, the first Penguin Random House FOC for Boom is going to be February 24th. And the on-sale dates, well, they said April 1st, have been adjusted to April 16th, just because it is, I mean, if you're on the publishing end, it is a shift getting distributed from Diamond to getting distributed by Penguin Random House. They have a completely different timeline than that. So we will be seeing our first Penguin Random House shipped Boom books April 16th. And it's a hard one. I really feel for the guys at Boom, because you had basically this giant prep time of over 4 months, and now that with sudden changes of everything going on at Diamond, that has been massively shortened, and they are on a hard curveball of changing. But I think under the guys like Josh, Roz, Greg, all the wonderful people at Boom, it will be a relatively smooth transition with the unexpected twist. So thank you, those guys. If you're a comic shop watching this, once again, you're still ordering through Diamond this week, it will be mid-February that you see the change. You can continue ordering through Diamond, or you can switch up to Penguin Random House come mid-February for those April releases. But let's do a quick talk. Boom is a lot of continuing series. We have House of Slaughter, issue number 30 on FOC, with some phenomenal covers. Look at 6 brilliant covers. So if you're a fan, look at these covers. Let your comic shop know which one you want. I mean, personally, I love covers C, D, and E. All 3 of those covers are amazing. But let's take a look at that incredible gatefold cover. Oh, you're getting everything in the Order of St. George right there. Like, that is just Bait front and center, Aaron Slaughter. I mean, you're seeing all of the various masks. This is a cool cover.
I need this as a poster, like, right away.
Yeah.
Like, throw it up on the wall.
Yeah. This is the Boom Studios. This is the Boom Studios version of those covers that Marvel used to do, where it's, let's see how many characters we could put on the cover.
Yeah.
Except Boom Studios knows when enough is enough. And it's like, just give us the characters we care about.
Right.
We don't need dupe on this cover.
Oh, you always need dupe on a cover. I'm not even going to get into that.
not on Sudden House of Slaughter, we don't.
Right. You get Mike Allred to just, add in dupe. Just,
right.
There's a remark piece.
Right.
That's, I think, going to be my new collection, is just how many things I can get Mike Allred to add dupe in that, doesn't belong. Terminator, dupe. My Little Pony,
Dupinator.
Yeah. Dupinator. Just a green potato with arms. That's all you need.
Yeah. But wow, phenomenal cover. And I mean, there's a lot of great covers. Inyuk Lee doing it, Dan Mora. Like, there are some awesome covers for House of Slaughter. Remember, this is a book that the #1 started just a few years ago with over 500,000 copies sold. Like, it is insane to think that that's how big. 500,000 copies on a Boom book that is a spin-off series. It's not even Something Is Killing the Children. So this was something massive. So 30 issues in, some great covers available. Also want to point out the final issue of Lawful, Greg Pak's masterpiece, weird fantasy story, is coming to an end. Issue 8 on FOC this Monday. If you're not familiar with Lawful, run out to your shops and grab this. This is a story where if you do something wrong, if you break the law in any subtle way, not only is there consequences in a greater legal matter, but magic involves itself and starts cursing you. You grow horns, wings, scales. Like, I couldn't imagine the world we live in now and just the haunting transformations many of us would face.
This book is genuinely one of the most heartbreaking first 3 issue series I've ever read. Like, the first 3 issues literally tear you apart. And then it takes this weird turn. coming into issue 4, where all of a sudden the heartbreak isn't so hard anymore. And it starts to really kind of, I think, for lack of a better word, find its rhythm and start to pull away from the initial, oh, okay, this is very heavy. And it turns into this weird sort of underdog story where the people that were led to believe are great aren't. And we start to see the shroud come off and start to see the world sort of as it actually is, not as they want you to believe it is. And it really, really is one of those books that if you haven't started it already, pick up a trade, because in the next, not to get in any kind of way realistic here, but in the next future of our actual lives, this may be very allegorical to things that we're all experiencing.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully you have a little bit of time. The lawful trade, well, we have already ordered it, will be out. I think it's February. Like, no, it can't be. Oh yeah, volume 1, the first 4 issues is February 12th. So it'll be right before, the week before we get the final issue actually in stores. So easy way to grab the trade, grab any issues your store has and catch up, or just get a pre-order in for the second trade. Yeah, but that one is a fun one. But yeah, a nice simple week for Boom. I think with all the sudden news coming, out of them this week, that makes it nice and easy. I think we got to move on to the big one, Marvel. So deep breath, everyone. Yeah. All right. So Marvel continuing on the deaths of Spider-Man with another point issue. So yes, you might be like, didn't we already order Amazing Spider-Man 68? You did. But now you can order Amazing Spider-Man 68 point deaths. Marvel. They find a way to add more books to the schedule every year. But on that note, I want to talk about a trade of a classic tale. It's been a while, I think, since we've seen Todd McFarlane's Amazing Spider-Man collected. Outside of an omnibus, which easily becomes a triple figure item, we are going to be getting the Epic Collection Volume 18. And you might be like, oh, Volume 18, why would I want that? Because that's going to have your key issues 298 through 300, the first Eddie Brock, the Venom, all of that, as well as other key tie-ins, because you're going to get the big Web of Spider-Man issues, the Peter Parker Spectaculars. This is the David Michelinie, Todd McFarlane era of Spider-Man that everyone spends a fortune buying the single issues of, and you can grab all of those key issues. It's issues 295 through 310, annual 22, as well as the Web of Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man tie-in issues for $50. Beats the hell out of just spending like what, $600 on just ASM 300.
Yeah. Definitely less of a bite on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually really do like this alteration of the cover because you have the 301 style cover with the 300 black Spider-Man outfit on there. So it is kind of a cool merge.
And it's the best Spider-Man suit there is. The symbiote suit, the black suit. Doesn't get much better than that.
I mean, it's weird. Obviously, I grew up with that, but I still always will have a little bit of love for that Civil War era Iron Spider suit.
Iron Spider? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Spider-Man has so many good suits. I don't know, the Venom symbiote suit, every time that shows up, it's going to be a good story, it's going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that will be the one I will always be most excited about. But yeah, I mean, but even then there's, the Ben Reilly, I guess, being that 80s, 90s person, the Ben Reilly, like sleeveless jacket will always be cool. Yeah. All right. So here's a weird one. After having some already unique crossovers, Doom and Rocket Raccoon, now we have Captain America and Volstagg. Not the duo you'd ever thought to team up.
No.
But J. Michael Straczynski is bringing some really unique combinations in these fun one-shots. Beautiful Terry Dodson cover on there. Bernard Chang, whether you loved him from Valiant, Marvel, DC, it will be interesting to see his interiors on this duo. But yeah, Volstagg the Voluminous.
Yeah, one of the best Marvel characters. And J. Michael Straczynski, he did a similar thing years ago with like DC's Brave and the Bold, taking like Brother Power the Geek and Batman and putting them together, or Dr. Fate and Hal Jordan Green Lantern. And heck, you even get like the Legion of superheroes meeting the Doom Patrol. Like, it's some of the best stand. Oh, he did that issue of Aquaman and Etrigan the Demon teaming up to fight Cthulhu. Like, and Straczynski has been bringing the magic with these as well. Like, we might not get Cthulhu in this, but he could do Duke and Howard the Duck, and I'd read it for 100 issues. You know.
So there's like 5 of these that he's doing.
Yep.
And the third one is the one that I think I am most excited for, which is it hasn't FOC'd yet, but it's Nick Fury versus Fin Fang Foom.
Yeah. Teaming up with Fin Fang Foom.
No, it's a versus.
Oh, okay. So James Bond versus Godzilla then.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, but Godzilla with pants. You got to keep those.
Yeah. That's my one problem with Godzilla. He's never worn pants. It's a disgrace.
Oh, that pervert. But yeah, no, Captain America and Volstagg. It is an interesting combo, but I am so beyond excited just because the personality that Volstagg brings to just the most patriotic, upright, lawful, good citizen that is Steve Rogers. I cannot wait for that moment of Volstagg like grabbing a Twinkie as they go to fight crime and getting side-eyed by Cap.
Yeah,
I just want Cap to throw a sword and have it bounce back to him somehow, because that's Cap's power.
Yes.
And again, this series is sort of opposite Silver Coin. JMS is writing everything, and then each issue is a different art team. It's a different artist. So the first book, which came out this week, Doom and Rocket Raccoon, was Gary Frank and Will Robeson. Will Robeson did the art. Gary Frank did covers. Volstagg is Bernard Chang. And the Fin Fang Foom Nick Fury one is Elena Casagrande. So, yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, I mean, of course, there's multiple covers. Obviously, we showed you the Dodson. Bernard has his cover. And, of course, we're continuing the Mark Brooks trend that you'll be hearing talking about for at least another 2 weeks of February releases, the Disney animated style pieces. And, wow, let's just take a moment on that. Like, Cap and Black Widow Disney-fied. Like, I'd watch that Disney cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like every one of the Mark Brooks covers like this, I'd watch that cartoon, but that's awesome. Yeah. So another one we got to talk about trade-wise. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again. In case you didn't have the single issues or the trade, we're getting that Cullen Bunn miniseries back in trade form, particularly great because this was, I think, what everyone was led to believe Deadpool Wolverine was going to be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rumors that Deadpool Wolverine was going to be Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe or Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again. It wasn't. It was a great film. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. But now it made me want to reread this book. I'm glad that the trade's going to be available for anyone who doesn't have it or hasn't yet read it. And $16 trade. $16 5-issue trade.
That's what? What? $16?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
You know, like we're seeing Marvel prices grow to like $30, $40, $50 trades. Seeing a $16 trade again has me excited. And it's not a small trade. It's not going to be one of those like more compact editions. This is a full-size trade paperback.
Yeah, cheaper than a Chipotle burrito, you know?
Yeah. All right. A lot of continuing series. As always, you can go to previewsworld.com/finalorders. Look at all these amazing covers. Some of these covers we're even going to be talking up a little bit later at our top 10 at the end of there. But here's something weird I have never done before. We've had a little bit more focus on trades, but here's one where I'm going to focus on a box. You ready for this? And not every store gets these. These stores have to order them in bundles of 5. And depending on shipping, it might not be a possibility for your store to get them. Always check with your local comic shop if they're getting these in. And sometimes they can't just order one for you because we have to order these in bundles of 5. But you ready for this? The Marvel Rivals graphic novel box. So if you've been seeing these covers, all right, that Peach Momoko, Jeff the Landshark, and Galacta piece right there, That came out last week on Fantastic Four and became a $25 book instantaneously. Stores were sold out. It's going crazy on the aftermarket. It is insane. And now you can have it on a box. And Jeff the Land Shark on both sides of the box is the best part. Not only that Momoko side, but on the opposite side, you get Spider-Man holding Jeff. So everyone who's fallen in love with Jeff the Land Shark, whether it's through Marvel Unlimited, Marvel Rivals, Marvel Snap, or outright just reading those awesome comics by Kelly Thompson, there's your Jeff the Land Shark box. I can honestly say this will be the most boxes I think I've ever ordered for my store.
Well, yeah, Jeff the Land Shark, Galacta, like done deal. Rivals has been huge. I don't know if you guys have played it yet, but anything with like Marvel Rivals, it's all that I'm hearing about.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the covers have been blowing up on the aftermarket too.
And they're making it to the other Marvel tap games. Like Jeff the Land Shark and Galacta are both in Marvel Snap now. And they're in a couple of other, Marvel games that are, popular at a different level at the moment. But I think super, super fun to see those characters really taking off in a way that I would have never guessed.
Yeah. And keep in mind, you are not going to be paying $60 per box. I want to point that out, even though the suggested real price, this is a bundle of 5. So obviously you're going to be probably buying, if you buy a bundle of 5, please let your comic shop know so they make sure they get you a whole bundle of 5. But if you're buying one, talk to your local comic shop, see what their pricing is on those individual boxes, because obviously bundle deals are bundle pricing. So your shop may vary on what they price it at. Also, keep in mind, those are big, heavy amounts of cardboard. So shipping is going to cost your local comic shop a small fortune. Always talk to your local comic shop, see what they are charging on those. But that'd be a pretty cool box to add to your collection. I'm not going to lie. If you guys missed out on Rogue the Savage Land, clearly you have not been watching this show, or you just second guess the quality of this amazing new miniseries. Don't worry, a second printing is on the way. That stunning Adam Hughes cover that was already released in foil will now have a non-foil treatment, so it's even prettier and easier for Adam to sign. So beautiful second printing if you need to catch up. And then, of course, issue number 2 is also on FOC. I have to show off that stunning J. Scott Campbell cover. But Tim Seeley was the man to write this miniseries, taking place somewhere around the 270s of the Uncanny X-Men storyline. We get that flashback to Rogue in the Savage Land with Magneto and everyone else. Awesome series. That was probably one of my favorite storylines of Uncanny X-Men growing up.
Yeah,
so
it's classic. Savage Land, anything Savage Land with the X-Men, like, take me there. I wish they would do Savage Land at least like once a month. Dinosaurs, Sauron, the mutates, Rogue in a bikini, Wolverine in a bikini, whoever. Yeah. Kazar. Yeah. And Sabu.
I love that there is a Zabu cover by Amanda Connor. Amanda Connor giving us a cute little Zabu. If you're going to have anybody open your coconut, Zabu clearly the way to go.
Absolutely. I open my coconut by Zabu all the time.
We basically have Sebastian the Crab down there, providing straws.
Yeah. Such a good cover.
Yeah, lovely stuff. All right. Coming up to the end of Marvel ones this week, we got to talk about Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk. If you ever like Gangs of New York, which was obviously set in the 1800s, this is set in the early 1900s. This is early Gangs of New York, as Sabretooth is, what was he? Murphy the Mad Dog, or I think that was it. Murphy the Mad Dog is his name.
Murphy, yeah. Murphy the Mad Dog.
But, awesome one. And here's my favorite part. For those of you who don't remember where Sabretooth's true origins lie, he first appeared in, all right, Torma, you know this classic issue 14. It was
Iron Fist
14. So we get a return to that with Sabretooth going against another warrior of Kunlun in Dragonfire. A brand new character. She's getting her first cover appearance here, first interior appearance, and I think this is going to be awesome. Early 1900s. Maybe it'll tie into that infamous Matt Fraction, Ed Brubaker Iron Fist run. Maybe it won't.
Maybe some of the Brizen stuff. Sabretooth has its roots in the old martial arts, like Marvel comics.
Yeah. So I love the idea of early 1900s New York City 5 Points gangs and then you're going to get the classic thing. I mean, I feel New York helped define. It was New York and San Francisco helped define the 1967 or early 1970s, 80s white kung fu martial arts revival.
Yep.
So without that, we wouldn't have our Danny Rand, our Sabretooth, or anything like that. So New York City, the place to have this battle between Sabretooth and this new character, Dragonfire. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. The series has been great so far. The first issue is stunning. You guys will have issue number 2, I think, next week, and then get the orders in for number 3. That one I think is going to be a speculator book too with this first appearance.
Yeah, a first appearance is always a solid bet, you know.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about the amazing Paco Diaz cover at the end of the show. So here's a weird one I get to pull out for you guys. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, years after the film has been in theaters. I want to say, could that be? Are we talking 9 years ago? That can't be it. 9 years ago?
No.
Rise of
Skywalker? Maybe actually. Because when did The Last Jedi come out? Was
that 2019 for Rise of Skywalker?
Okay, not that bad. 6 years. 6 years. Oof. But 6 years later, we're finally getting the Rise of Skywalker adaptation. Jodie Houser, all-star writer. She knows how to adapt these things. She's done everything from the Timothy Zahn Thrawn books. She does Stranger Things as if it was live on Netflix. And, I mean, she's done quite a few of the Star Wars adaptations. So I am beyond excited to see her take of Rise of Skywalker, because I'm not the biggest fan of the sequel trilogies. Let me be 100% honest here. But it has been the novels and the comics that have, in my opinion, made them very, very palpable. Tolerable. You know, I don't even want to say tolerable. They've been better than tolerable, because they've found the ways to add in the extra details that make these movies solid. It's hard, hard to find the right, adjectives for this. But I've been absolutely in love with things like the Captain Phasma comics, the Poe Dameron comics. They made these characters that I thought were really, really great and didn't land perfectly in the films suddenly all-star Star Wars characters. So with the knowledge that we're going to be getting new Star Wars movies in this era, that we're about to get new Star Wars comics in this era, I'm very excited to see Jodie give us an end cap to the sequel trilogy and hopefully prove that Jodie can land this like an all-star Olympic level gymnast. So a lot of really, really great covers on Rise of Skywalker there. Black History Month with Lando. We had to see the Emperor photo movie variant. The Brian Stelfreeze we'll talk about a little bit later. Some awesome covers. If you want to get this, I feel this is going to be a sadly under-ordered book for a lot of comic shops, because they're going to view it as like, wow, how long ago was Rise of Skywalker again? You know, they might do the Mathias bad guess of 9 years. Hopefully they'll have a Kyle that works with them that can say, no, it's only been 6 years.
But yeah, Kyle's thinking that this book is 7.5 years too late.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that this has potential. I don't think that Jodie Houser has ever dropped the ball.
No, and that's the only, for me, that's the redeeming qualities that it's Jodie Houser. Like, if this book had come out before or around the release of the book, I think, or the movie, it would have been a much stronger option or entry for me into the weekly orders. But now, like, because of Jodie Houser, I'll give it a chance. But again, I feel like this book is like 6.5 to 7 years too late.
Yeah. One I have to last minute add, I forgot to, preload this, but Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone. I don't know a comic shop that's not sold out of this series. It has gone through multiple printings. It is super high demand. I mean, look, we've had some all-star X-Men stories of past. Obviously, Jonathan Hickman revived so many readers to X-Men with his Krakoa era.
Right.
The House of X,
Powers, the powers, the time travel, the Mr. Sinister, the apocalypse of it all.
But wow, Gail has blown me away coming out of the Krakoan era with this. You're going to get the first 6 issues as well as some other tie-ins in this awesome trade paperback for $20. I mean, it's kind of a good luck. I hope your local comic shop has it still on stands. Credit to them if they do. Grab the issues. It's an amazing read. But if for any reason you slept on this, you didn't give Gale's Uncanny X-Men a shot, and you're an X-Men fan, you need to change that. This is a phenomenal run. It is an all-star cast that is working together, bringing back like 90s classics like Jubilee and Gambit in there. It's just an all-star team. Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Rogue. This is the 90s dream of the perfect X-Men team for me. And it is in such a brilliant modern style. It has been selling out for a reason.
And big shout out to Gale for handling the dudes on the internet who tried to mansplain the X-Men to her by just posting the cover with her name on it. And that's it. Like, shout out to Gale for being way classier than I ever would have been. So,
yeah, well, it's such a hard act to follow too. I mean, the Hickman stuff, that whole era, the Dugan stuff after was so crucial and so beloved that, it's always hard to follow that act, but Gail Simone's run has done just that. It's like, I don't know, if Hickman's run was eating at a buffet and you're like, okay, I got, shrimp, I got chicken tenders, I got everything I could want. And then you're like, all right, they want me to feed me more. And then Gail Simone's run is like a really good, like cheeseburger, it's,
I was going to say,
oh,
yes. No, Gail Simone's is the soft serve ice cream machine at the end of the thing where it's like,
yes,
I've had all this good food and now I get the sweet final, like amazing second course essentially.
Yep.
So
perfect. The perfect note.
This is like my favorite discussion of buffets because, like, in my mind, I'm thinking buffets. I'm like, yeah, Brazilian barbecue, and you guys are like hometown buffet,
dude. What is it? Home country buffet or whatever on the East Coast when that was still a thing. Yeah, classic. You get tacos, you get roast beef. You could get some Nightcrawler, you get some Colossus, and then end it with a nice Gail Simone run. Perfect.
So is Colossus the all you can eat prime rib at the casino buffet?
Oh yeah, that goes without saying.
Or is that like when she finally introduces the Blob or Beast?
Oh no, Beast is in a Brussels sprouts. Beast is, a lot of people like it.
Now I'm assigning different buffet foods to different X-Men.
Yeah,
and this is a whole other video.
Yeah,
whole other video.
You're right. Guys got, like, our entire audience is going to be like, what buffet is still open post-COVID right now?
Yeah. Casinos.
Casino buffets, yeah. Anyway.
All right, so I'm going to wrap Marvel up with one last book, but it is a well-deserved book because obviously we're going to set everything up for Women's History Month, which I want to say is March. Somebody please tell me I got that correct. But Women of Marvel, She-Devils. Speaking of the Savage Land love right there.
So it's a book about my ex-girlfriends?
You wish these were your ex-girlfriends. Actually, I hate to say you probably don't because you wouldn't be around anymore. With characters like Shauna the She-Devil, Laura Kinney, Elektra Natchios, etc. This is an all-star cast of badass women in the Marvel Universe. And you're going to get some badass women writing it. Like Stephanie Phillips, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Not only is she a brilliant writer, she could probably kick your butt. Like, quite literally, I think she does, like Muay Thai kickboxing.
Oh, yeah.
So this is going to be an awesome one. Especially, I love Echo on the cover there, too.
Yeah, Echo is such an unsung hero, Well, no, she was in the Jason Aaron Avengers run recently. She was the...
she had the Phoenix power for a bit there, too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is going to be a really great one-shot. $5, you can get some of the top female writers in the industry, some of the top female characters in the Marvel Universe. I just think that is going to be a must-have. And there's some great covers. Rose Besh and Peach Momoko, I'm 100% in.
Yeah. Give me a Peach Momoko cover any day. Add it to the box. Going to order it at FOC.
All right. But let's take a moment now because we have the incredible Torma here who once again represents Oni Press. Let's bring him on screen in full size and let's talk about some awesome Oni Press stuff on Final Order Cutoff. So, Torma, before we dive into it, let's set it up. It's Oni.
Yes.
What's the story? What brought you into Oni? Because you came in at a big revival, I feel.
Yeah. So let's see. Like I said, I used to work at Third Eye Comics, and I got brought on when Oni was looking for, basically, Oni was going in a new sort of rebirth, and they needed somebody to have the expertise of like working in a shop, working in the direct market, and Hunter Goranson, my boss, president of Oni Press, he remembered me from his days at Valiant when they came down to Third Eye and we were selling more copies than Exo Manowar. And they got the whole staff together and they got us a pizza party, as is the best thing for a staff party. And they asked, they go, so how are you guys moving so many copies of Exo Manowar? And then everybody looked at me and I was like, I just like Space Barbarians. I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, it was, and then from there, he hit me up when I was looking for a change of pace,
Yeah. So then you came in at a perfect time. I mean, you were dealing with the 20th anniversary of Scott Pilgrim. You were in with the big EC launch. Let's talk about the big EC launch. That one's huge.
Yeah, EC. So for those of you who don't know, EC, the famous, infamous brand, if you will, came back under the Oni Press banner. If you like horror, if you like comics in general, we wouldn't have what we have today if it not for EC. EC paved the way for a lot of what we see as not just comics, but movies. Your favorite director, your favorite writers, they all love EC comics. And yeah, with this brand new release, Oni has been bringing it back full force and people have been loving it. Issues have been selling out. You have EC Epitaphs from the Abyss, our horror series. Cruel Universe was our sci-fi series that ended and morphed into the amazing fantasy-driven horror Cruel Kingdom, which has never been done before by an EC title in the history of EC. Yeah, it's been a super exciting time. And everybody wants to write and draw for an EC book, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have an absolute all-star cast. I mean, you want to share some of the big names that have written and drawn? I mean, because awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Marvelous.
Yeah, well, what is it? You got Jason Aaron, you got David Lapham, you have Stephanie Phillips, we just mentioned. Gosh, who else? Rodney
Marco, who we've had on the show actually just 2 weeks ago, I want to say.
Oh, badass. Yeah. Misty Flores. I mean, the list goes on and on who we've had for EC books.
I want to give a shout out to Hunter, who I didn't know as a writer until he wrote a book in an EC, in one of these EC anthologies. I'm like, it was my favorite story in the anthology. Yeah. And I'm like, like people are having a chance to tell stories they've wanted to tell for years because they could only be EC books or EC stories. And now EC exists again.
Yeah. So we brought it back. And like, if you want horror, if you want great storytelling, because there's a way we could have done it where we could have just launched it with a billion different covers and just did subpar writing, but each story is like a handcrafted killer tale from each writer, each artist. It's something that they've like kept secret. It's something that they've coveted as their ace in the hole. And imagine a series of just ace in the hole storylines, like not just one great story or two or, in every issue, but like 3 great stories with every single title. And what's great is you don't have to read them all in sequence. You can pick up wherever you want, Start with issue 4 and try to track down 1 through 3 at your local comic book shop. Or start with, 2, get 1, and then try 3. Like, just collect them all. I can't stop talking.
I do love that you can really hop in at any issue because it is a wonderful anthology. But I know that Kyle fell in love with this cover that we have on screen right now. Yeah. That was Naomi Frank, I want to say.
Yep, Naomi Frank. And Naomi does like some really, really brutal covers. For number 1, what was it? It was a young girl and she's like molting her skin. So it's like her skin coming off. Like it's insane. And that's the great thing is like, we don't want to hold anybody back. I remember Hunter was telling me a story about Lee Bermejo who does all the cover A's, by the way. Lee Bermejo doing the cover for number 1 when he first submitted it. And he's like, hey, I think this might be a little too much. Let me know what you guys think. I kind of went a little crazy with it. And editorial, everybody over at Oni was like, no, go bigger. Go, more twisted. Go more brutal. Go more violent. Like, we don't want to hold anything back with any of these stories.
For me, on 8, it is the Lee Bermejo with the snake coming out of it's a snake coming out of a dude's eye socket. And you can see the snake under his skin. I'm like, that is going to give me the perfect nightmares.
Oh, it's so creepy
to go with this book. And shout out this one has Jordan Thomas and Jeff Jensen with some David Lapham art inside that like I'm excited to see. So like I may or may not have called my LCS and just said, look, if I've got to buy 40 copies of this book, I want every variant. I want every cover.
I need it.
So, right. And that's one of the things you can do at FOC is you can reach out to your LCS and say, hey, there's a really dope 1 in 50 variant for this that I want.
What do I need to get to that?
Right. And I'm willing to bite the bullet, as it were, to I'll spend 50, but I'll spend, whatever I got to spend to get it.
Yeah. I mean, heck, I've done it in the past where I'll spend, like you said, $50 to get a cover, $20 to get a cover. And then you just have, 10, 15 extra issues, give them to people, throw them in people's faces, drive down the street and chuck a comic at them and say, buy to your local comic book shop. Like,
so I've been doing that with Turtles for years. And Halloween at my house, I get kids coming every year banging on my door. Hey, do you have Turtles comics this year? Hey, do you have Turtles comics this year? And I give out Turtles comics. Like,
I think that's my favorite story I've heard. As a retailer, obviously, we understand how we get ratios and all that, but I think that's a cool thing. Not every comic shop is going to do that. Every comic shop is different. So always talk to your local comic shop about how to order, ratio variants or everything. But that might be one where you talk to the right owner. They're happy to help you out. Like I like the idea of buying enough for a ratio and then giving books out to get people into comics. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, and like I will go to my LCS Monday once he knows how many books I'm responsible for, and I'll pay him for him. So it's not even anything out of his pocket, right? It's just, hey man, do this and we're good. Like end of the day, we all work out. And if he gets more orders, he just gives me a credit on my pull list.
Yeah, there you go. Easy peasy. There's a way to get the covers you want. Go to your local comic book shop. Talk to them. That's the best part about a comic book shop.
If you give them time by ordering at FOC, it makes it easier.
Yes. Please order it at FOC. It helps the shop. It helps the publishers. It helps me out. I like FOC. I just feel better about it.
Needs help too. All right. Well, on that note, so EC Epitaphs from the Abyss, issue number 8 on FOC this Monday. You got some all-star creators. I mean, you have Jeff Jensen. I mean, didn't he do what was it, Watchmen? Like, didn't he do the HBO Watchmen TV series?
Yeah, he worked on that.
Yeah. I mean, who all is on this awesome book?
So funny you ask. We just had a little bit of an update, but we actually have Stephanie Phillips. With Valeria Burzo, who's going to be doing a story called Yellow Smoke. Brendan Hay with art by PJ Holden and John McCree. And Joshua Hale Fialkov and Andrea Sorrentino are going to be doing on this book. So like a lot of big names, a lot of that's the great part about the EC books is no matter which issue you pick up, you're bound to find a creator. You're bound to find an artist that you like and maybe discover something new. Check out their other stuff, If you like Stephanie Phillips on Epitaphs, check out Stephanie Phillips on some of her Marvel work, or heck, even Xeno that we had from a few years ago. Gosh, it feels like forever at this point.
Well, speaking of forever, let's talk about another one on FOC this week that I'm really excited about. Buzz.
Yeah!
So, Buzz, oh my God, that originally came out in, I want to say, 2013? Is that right?
Why did I think it was sooner? I thought it was like 2011. No, yeah, 2013.
Okay. But so Buzz really, in my opinion, is like the successor to Scott Pilgrim. If you love Scott Pilgrim, you would love Buzz. Tormy, you want to give us the pitch on Buzz?
Yeah, absolutely. So Buzz, to me, if we're looking for the quick elevator pitch, it's like Scott Pilgrim meets Naruto with a little bit of Kill la Kill in there. Basically, it follows this kid Webster and his first day of high school, and things start going off the rails when he's brought in to a back alley rumble for underground spelling. He's your typical sort of golden child at this point, and that's when he starts getting into this crazy underground spelling bee ring with, a colorful cast of characters. Let's just say that. It's one of the Oni Press like classics, dug out from the archive, unlocked, and brought back to a new audience.
Yeah. I mean, it's, when he says underground spelling bee, like this is literally what it is like you take spelling bees to an anime level extreme. Like the letters are shooting out in violent ways as weapons throughout it. But what makes this different? As you said, this is a classic, we're still trying to figure out if this is like, 10 to 15 years old since it was
2013.
2013. Yeah.
Cool. So what makes this edition of Buzz unique?
Well, in this edition, we've actually brought it out with new color. We've added color to it, new cover art. We have new extras from the creators. This is the definitive version of Buzz. If you haven't checked it out before, you need to pick it up. If you have a copy on your shelf, you still need to pick this up because it is a must for anybody who loves Oni, anybody who loves just ridiculous sort of manga-esque stories, or anybody looking for a good time.
So when I remember Buzz coming out, it was a soft cover, much like when I was originally buying Scott Pilgrim, it was a soft cover.
Yeah.
And when you guys did the hardcover color editions of Scott Pilgrim, it's not a replacement. I need both on my shelf. Would you say this is in that realm?
Absolutely. Like there's enough here. Like even if you have Buzz on your shelf currently in the soft cover, this feels like it's a whole different experience, right? Sure, it's great in the black and white, but with this brand new color, with the extras, even with like the type of paper is different. Like you need it for your shelf.
Yeah, I am excited for this to be released. Once again, if you are a Scott Pilgrim fan and you have not read Buzz, you are doing yourself a disservice. You need to reach out to your local comic shop this weekend. The sooner the better, and say, I need Buzz. I need it. I heard it was like just like Scott Pilgrim.
Give me Buzz. I've heard the buzz about Buzz. Give me Buzz.
Well, and real fast, like I have people in my life who I'm trying to figure out how to introduce to Scott Pilgrim. Right? They're maybe a little too young for Scott Pilgrim still. Buzz is a great sort of, I can get them from reading, Adventure Time or whatever to Scott Pilgrim through Buzz. And I think that's an important kind of idea of looking at books like this as stepping stones to shared enjoyment of things that were quintessential when we were young. Right. So, I can't introduce people to like Henson from SNL straight from Sesame Street. I've got to show them, some of the other Hensons. So this is the same kind of idea of the stepping stone bridge, as it were, to Scott Pilgrim from children's books, essentially.
Well, I mean, I gotta say that is the best word for it. It is the bridge. If you want to get somebody into manga who only reads American comics, this is a great one. If you want to get people from manga into American comics, this is a great one. Scott Pilgrim, they're not there yet. Buzz is great, but it also goes the other way. Like, I can hand this to an 8-year-old just as easily as I can hand it to a 60-year-old, and they will enjoy it.
Yeah, with great art, great story, wackiness abound. Yeah, Buzz is one that you need to add to your shelf. Add it to somebody else's shelf. Buy it and give it to somebody, Like, you got to pick it up.
All right. So one other big one from Oni on FOC this week, Rick and Morty, Ricklemania.
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix now has wrestling. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So everyone's talking wrestling right now. Perfect timing. So give me the pitch. What is this?
So with Ricklemania, like you were saying, everybody is excited about wrestling. Wrestling has never been bigger, and that goes for the Sanchez household, right? Rick and Morty get really big into the Interdimensional Wrestling Federation, and Morty wants Rick to take him to a show. And of course, he takes the whole family, but of course, you have Jerry, and Jerry, being who he is, signs a contract that he doesn't read, gets brought in as a wrestler. So it's up to Rick and Morty and the rest of the gang to enter these wrestling matches with interdimensional characters and save the day and save Jerry and save his ass from whatever he does, you know?
Yeah. So fun one. And then on top of that, it's not only written, but it's drawn by Mark Ellerby. Mark did one of my favorite little Doctor Who comics over at Titan, doing all that via Pond Family sitcom. So if you haven't read that, definitely check it out. But Mark Ellerby, I think, perfect. I mean, he's done quite a bit of Rick and Morty before, too. He really knows the voices of these characters.
If Rick doesn't tell Morty to know his role and shut up before he lays a smack down on his pickle ass, I don't even know what we're doing here.
Yeah. No, there's if you love wrestling, there's plenty of Easter eggs. There's plenty of little jabs in there. Marks and faces and et cetera, terminology. But even if you're a fan of like Rick and Morty, what I love about all the comics is every writer, every creator that comes on, it feels like a lost episode of the show, right? So if you're jonesing for more Rick and Morty, get down to your local comic book shop and ask them for Rick and Morty comics. There's hundreds, if not thousands at this point, of Rick and Morty stuff, and Ricklemania is one that I'm super stoked for.
So that one's a 4-issue miniseries, issue number 1 on FOC this Monday. So make sure you grab it. But let's talk about stuff that's not on FOC. Since I have the senior sales manager of Oni here, let's talk about some other things. First, let's do one that FOC last week. We had to talk a little bit about. We had one of your coworkers give me a pull quote for Mine is a Lonesome Grave. But this is a dark, twisted tale by Justin Jordan. It releases February 12th. We already FOC'd it, but you can still go to your comic shop and ask for an advance reorder. I imagine you guys are going to print enough that an advance reorder will hopefully go through.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, Mine is a Long Lonesome Grave is the first of our like major pushes for 2025 for Oni. These are like the creator-owned titles that are going to knock your socks off. They're going to bury your socks in a field somewhere and light them on fire. Like Mine is a Long Lonesome Grave is one of the most brutal tales that I've read from Justin Jordan. And he's no stranger to brutality with the Strange Town of Luther Strode, Dead Body Road, Christian from House of Slaughter fame, right? Doing the artwork on this one. The story follows Harley Creed, and Harley Creed is a bad man. Don't get any ways about it. Don't get twisted about it. He used to be a lot worse. So he's a violent ex-con with a string of brutal crimes in his past, and he just wants one thing to basically live a life, to live a normal life. He goes back to his hometown, and in a strange way, his hometown has a way of just drawing him back in. And he learns that he's been cursed. A hex, if you will, has been put on him. And he has 7 days to figure out who placed the hex and who has it out for him before he dies a brutal, twisted death, screaming in agony. I don't know if you have any of the pages, but it's some of the most like brutal stuff I've seen Chris do. Let's just say there are some some vision problems, it's
punch through the glass window.
Right. And like the detail of, I'm just pointing at the screen now, the detail on every single little piece of glass, how like, I don't know, the fear in his eyes. This is one that if you like anything by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, you got to get it from your comic book shop. Get out to your local comic book shop and get it. See if they can still get you a copy. If you like Darwin Cook's, Parker Hunter stuff, if you want crime noir, if you want some supernatural brutality, the likes of which you have never seen, definitely make your grave a long, lonesome one, because this book is going to kick so much ass.
Yeah, I got to pull out Daniel's incredible quote on this from last week again. It is Appalachian Hellblazer, 100 Bullets meets Constantine.
Yeah,
and,
that's it.
Dark.
And for regular viewers of the EXP, I am in the process of securing an interview with Justin Jordan to talk specifically about this book. So be on the lookout for that announcement as soon as we coordinate schedules, which is maybe harder at this point than writing the book. No, I'm kidding. Justin is a very busy man with a lot of great things coming out. So trying to work around that is actually proving difficult, but we will get it done.
Yeah, I am so excited about this book. I have to say, having read the first issue, it is mind-blowingly good.
Mind-blowingly. Eye-blowingly good.
Oh,
yeah.
Man,
right?
yeah. Like, also, this way, if you've seen any of the alternate covers for this book, they will only give you the slightest hint of the nightmares you will get reading it.
I specifically didn't put them in here just because I felt like we need to not spoil too much.
Yeah.
I think you can put that stuff on the internet, you know?
That's fair.
All right. Well, here's another haunting image. This is a really cool one from Patrick Horvath. You might know Patrick Horvath from his IDW phenomenon hit, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. He is going to be back with an awesome, I believe it's a one-shot, right?
Yes.
One-shot from Oni. Give us the story on this.
I think this might be a personal favorite of mine for Free for All. It's very timely, I guess is a good way to put it, especially in these days that we live in currently. It's a story that I think a lot of people are going to relate to. So it follows in the future, there is the World Finance League, and basically this organization keeps billionaires and millionaires in check. And how does it do that? Well, it'll randomly choose billionaires, trillionaires, and they say, hey, donate half of your wealth, half of it. You can still keep half, just donate half for the betterment of the world, for the betterment of society, or you can enter into a gladiator death match with other billionaires and try to keep your entire wealth. It's a good way to put it. It's like Running Man meets Hunger Games, but with all of your favorite billionaires being chopped up, decapitated, gutted, disemboweled. It's brutal. It follows a real estate magnate, Ted Brooks, who he's been on like a 22-win streak, and his next opponent is his estranged wife, who's also a billionaire, training for this one match to get back at her ex-husband. It's $7.99, cheaper than like a Big Mac right now in this day and age. 56 pages of brutality, 56 pages of just billionaire bunking and trillionaire cutting action. I love everyone needs to read this. I think this should be in every shelf, every long box, every car, every newsstand, everywhere you can put it. Every restroom stall, every classroom hall, get Free for All in there. I don't know.
I don't know. Are we talking about classrooms? Like, what would you say the age rating is? This is a mature title.
This is very mature. Don't get me wrong. Do not put it in your classroom if we have teachers out there. That's just my rhyming lingo brain. But yeah, no, it's Free for All is one that you don't want to miss.
Yeah.
Free
How many
for
pages
All.
are we talking in this? You know, like, I mean, $8 one shot, like, to contain all of it. What's the page count look like?
56 pages.
56 pages. So it's almost its own graphic novel, you know, right there.
Basically, a graphic novella, as I used to call it back in the day.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But no.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that is a March 3rd FOC. So we're getting it a little in advance. That'll be released on March 26th. But that's all the more time that you have to reach out to your local comic shop and tell them, I need Free for All. Not here in the store. Like, I don't need to, fight you, but I need a book.
Yeah. I don't need the comics for free. I need the book Free for All.
Yeah. All right. And then our last big Oni one, big book right there, Out of Alcatraz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Christopher Cantwell, who you know from Plastic Man No More, Briar, which was amazing. Just did the Conda. Yeah. And then Tyler Crook, who did Harrow County, like some of the most like haunting visuals that I've seen in ages. Out of Alcatraz it's like an alternate history in a weird way, meets like crime mystery. it's one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. The famous, escape from Alcatraz, where you have convicts Frank Morris and Clarence. It opens up with them escaping the prison, escaping Alcatraz, and washing ashore in San Francisco in 1962. They meet this young woman who seems to have more mysteries behind her. You're trying to uncover exactly where they are. Famously, they never found the bodies for these two. So this is kind of like this is what could have happened. This is what probably happened. They could be alive. They might not. You never know. But with amazing art from Tyler Crook, Christopher Cantwell knocks it out of the park on this one. We should have PDFs out there, but add this to your box, add this to your pool, go to your local comic book shop. If you want some amazing crime noir, if you want something that it has more weight to it than your normal crime noir, I guess is a good way to put it. It feels like, I don't want to say too much, but it feels almost like an Eisner kind of like book, like it feels like a classic Will Eisner tale. And, maybe it gets an Eisner in there. I don't know.
So when we were prepping for the show, I was talking about how the kind of the ink wash sort of style that Tyler Crook is using is really appropriate for this story. I mean, especially if you grew up in the Mythbusters era and you saw the episode where they tried to replicate Frank Morris and Clarence Anglin's escape, they have this. They even put a wash on the camera filters, like for that show. It's the only way to tell this story is with this sort of sepia, weird kind of color palette. So the fact that Tyler uses it is really interesting to me. But the idea of investigating what maybe happened or what could have possibly been the answer that no one ever figured out with the mind of Chris Cantwell, who usually is pretty good at just finding a twist in there you didn't expect.
Yeah.
It really has me, my interest peaked on this. And I used the A cover, the Chris Cantwell or the Tyler Crook cover, but there's a Oliver Dominguez variant that is really dope. With like the faces hiding in bushes.
Yeah. In the orange grove.
Yeah. In the orange grove and
both covers.
Yeah. Well, and then there's a shout out to Hayden Sherman for the 1 in 50, which again, this might be one of those where I go to my LCS to go, look, I don't care if I got to buy 50 copies. Like, I want this variant myself that's kind of got the Out of Eden sort of movie poster feel to it.
Right.
It's clearly an homage to that look. That is just a really cool cover. And, the thing, I love historical semi-fiction. Like, it's one of my favorite genres to read anyway. So when you can take that and throw it into a comic book and put these two guys' brains on it, I think there's nothing but good things to be had here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those fun values of this show is like, you want to make sure your store orders enough that you can get those big high ratio variants. This is the thing where you tell your friends like, hey, I just was watching, Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. Let me, you got to watch it because it's going to sell you on this book. Or better yet, do a better job than I do. And you go tell your friends like, hey, I'm the FOC expert here. Let me tell you why you need to get out of Alcatraz.
Yeah. 48 pages of alternate history goodness.
It's funny, and Mathias is going to laugh at this, but we're planning our trip to Comics Pro. And I'd go, hey, how far is where Comics Pro is from Alcatraz? And my business partner, who is from California, went, stop. Just stop.
Well, yeah. Comics Pro, for reference, is in Burbank, which is about 6 to 8 hours south of San Francisco.
Right. She's like, Kyle, you could drive to Baltimore from Ohio faster than you could drive from Burbank to Alcatraz in the same state.
Especially right now.
Especially right now, yeah.
All right.
And just so you guys know, Out of Alcatraz on FOC February 24th. So get your comic shops, your orders for that soon. You got a few weeks. It will be releasing on March 19th. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Expert on this? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So those are the big Oni ones we had to talk about. Before we get back to it, and we'll see if Torma wants to stay and continue giving us his awesome opinions. If people want to know more about Oni, if people want to know more about you, where can people discover all the details on upcoming Oni books? Maybe check out previews and learn more about release dates, as well as if they need a little bit more Torma in their life, where can they find that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Oni, we're on everything, right? Blue Sky, we're on X, Instagram, the whole nine. So you can find us on there, Oni Press Comics. We can get our stuff through, previews, through Diamond. We also have it at Lunar as well. If you're trying to just get more Torma in your life, I'm on Instagram, Tormantula. So Tor, it's my name with a Antula at the end. But yeah, Oni Press, we're on everything. Instagram, I update that every Wednesday with what's coming out in the shop near you. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, all the more wonderful photos of Beard, Comics, and Baby. As congratulations, you're a new dad.
Yes, I'm a new dad. My wife has the little one downstairs right now. I think he's taking a nap. So after this, I'll go check on him. But yeah, it's been crazy. Who would have thought getting puked on and peed on would have so much fulfillingness? I don't know.
Just wait until he starts reading amazing comics like Free for All and Minus Lonesome Grave.
I hope he reads comics. He better. I feel like that will be like the what is it? Like the classic, 80s movie where it's the sports guy who wants to play in the musical or whatever. Like it'll be my son who wants to do the sports, and then he's like, comics, they're not for me, Dad. Rip my heart out. But he's gonna like comics.
There it is. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Torma. Are you gonna float with us for a little bit, or do you have to go run off and do dad duty?
I have to go do dad duty, so I appreciate it. Thank you guys again. Like I said, I'm Torma from Oni Press. Thank you for having me on here, Mathias, Kyle. You guys are the best. I'll see you when I see you next. And read Oni Press. Only the best from Oni Press.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
See you in a couple weeks. All right.
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, guys. So let's dive back into it because we have more comics on Final Order Cutoff, and we need to start off with Dynamite, who is just bringing in the thunder of 2025 as they have some massive new number ones on FOC this week. Got to start it off right off the bat with Darkwing Duck, where, we had a Darkwing Duck number one back in 2023 from Dynamite. Now we're getting a brand new number one with Daniel Kibblesmith, who knows about comedy and quacks. So this will be a really fun one. A lot of great covers on this new number one.
And that A cover of number one is Tad Stone's, creator of Darkwing Duck.
Yes, that's actually I didn't catch that. This is why I'm thankful you're here, Kyle.
Well, I got to interview him one time, and we actually talked more about Hellboy than we did Darkwing Duck.
But I love all these covers on Darkwing Duck. As always, Dynamite likes to bring a million covers. So go to previewsworld.com/finalordersdue. Look at all the covers and let your local retailer know which one you want, especially when you want that awesome blank cover so you can draw your own Darkwing on there. Now, here is an absolute flashback to the classic cartoon. We have a brand new series. I think one of the first time in decades we have a comic for Herculoids. Herculoids is just classic. When we're talking about the fun of the Savage Land, this is, all that great jungle adventures, some of the greatest goofy animated characters and races you can imagine. And a brand new series focusing on the Herculoids is incredible. I love this Joseph Michael Linsner cover. There's a ton of great covers. Bjorn Barends, Matina doing covers. Mignola, we'll definitely be talking about that one later. But I am beyond excited. I did not foresee in my scratch off of the post 2020 bingo list of a return of Herculoids, but classic. I mean, Kyle, you got to be a fan of the Herculoids cartoon, right?
I'll be honest, the Herculoids are a little before my time. So I'm actually more excited about what Dynamite announced yesterday.
Ooh, is that the Captain Planet?
Yeah, buddy. I loved Captain Planet. So this for me, and it's great that it's written by Tom Snagowski. And this is, I'm gonna praise Tom Snagowski for a minute. If there's anybody I want introducing me, giving me the Herculoids for the first time, really, like I know the Herculoids because I've been around pop culture. I've been in a cave. But giving me my first real foray into I am going out and consuming Herculoids. Tom Snagowski is the guy I want to do it because he's going to tell the story in a way that will lead you where you need to go rather than just assuming you know the things.
Yeah.
And so that is Tom is a great writer to do this. I mean, you look at Tom's work with Red Sonja, you look at Tom's work with Vampirella, is a great introduction, jumping on point for people who don't have 50 years of Red Sonja or 50 years of Vampirella knowledge. So this is a great opportunity here. I will say
he's a fan, but he doesn't get lost in the fandom. He can still present the story to a new audience, you know.
Right. We need more covers with that little guy over the elbow there. I can't think of its name right now. But we need more covers of just that. The same way we still need more Snarf covers for Thundercats. Listen up, Barucci. I'm never going to let it go.
There it is. Yeah.
Snarf!
Yeah. What was that? Gloop and Gleep, I want to say their names were.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I have to point out Rob Liefeld doing a cover, you know, like whether you love him or hate him, Rob Liefeld, that is a very unique choice for the Herculoids, and it's a cool cover, and that's an FOC reveal cover. So once again, let your local comic shop know they may have never even seen these Rob Liefeld covers yet, because here they are today as we're prepping for Final Order Cutoff on Monday.
And the feet on that cover look like feet.
You know, look, he's got shoulders, he's got hands, he's got feet. The only thing he doesn't have is a million pockets.
Right. Like that must have been the hardest part for Rob, is not drawing pouches. And I'm sure we can find some Herculoids with pouches for him. So shout out,
really fitting. Yeah.
I really do like that cover. Like, shout out to Rob for just doing an incredible cover.
Okay. Now, obviously, we got to show this off, because if we were talking about the new Captain Planet that just got announced, we have to talk about Space Ghost, because it's the same writer, David Pepose, who's been doing 9 phenomenal issues on Space Ghost, is now on his 10th issue. And David will be the one who will be modernizing Captain Planet and bringing him to a dark new tale at Dynamite. But obviously, his Space Ghost has brought to another level. You have stunning artwork on every page by Jonathan Lau. You have brilliant covers from everyone from Francesco Mattina, Bjorn Barends, Jay Lee, Anthony Marks. We've been seeing everything on this. I don't think I would have ever guessed that Space Ghost was going to be the all-star book and all-star seller that it has been at Dynamite. I loved it at DC. I loved it at Top Cow. I loved, all these versions of Space Ghost over the years. Even the 1980s Space Ghost was phenomenal for that one single issue we got. But David has been making this a powerhouse all-star book that I don't know how you would even think that this is a cartoon that we really truly haven't had new episodes for over 40 years. 50 years? Maybe
40.
Almost 60 years. I mean, excluding Space Ghost Coast to Coast and all that fun. And this is not that. This is dark, serious, badass Space Ghost.
I still want a Space Ghost Coast to Coast comic.
Yes. I mean, I would love to have that. Don't get me wrong. So
I'm not going to let that one go either, Nikki.
Yeah.
Just saying. Make what I want and I won't bother you anymore. For 3 days.
I was going to say, don't you work with him? Yeah.
Yeah, like I will give you the weekend.
There
Make what I want and I won't bother you this weekend.
So a lot of fun, a lot of great covers. Obviously, I love that David Nakayama, everyone on it, Thundercats cover for the second hardcover and trade paperback. But lots of fun. You can see all of it at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue. But now we got to dive into some indie fun. And there's
real fast, before we dive into the indies, just everybody, if you're looking for a manga, Blue Lock, which was just there on screen, 17 volumes in. Most of the volumes are still available. If not at your LCS, you can probably get them ordered through your LCS. Kodansha is really good at keeping that stuff in stock. Like if you go into your LCS and you're like, I need Blue Lock, and they're like, we don't have it, order it. But Blue Lock has been a great series, so interesting. Just I want to just plug manga for a second, just because. Yeah, right.
I
The
love
box set is incredible.
Box set, the new spin-off series featuring Nagi, who is one of the threats in the main series, getting his own solo. Blue Lock is the best. Yeah, talk it up, Kyle.
No, I just, like I said, it's got a lot of things for a lot of different people. Like it's a manga for athletes on some level. Like if you have a soccer player or a sports star in your life and you're like, but I want them to read my nerd books, Blue Lock is a great way to get them there. So that was what I want to say about Blue Lock. I just think it's important, occasionally to shout out top level manga. So,
oh yeah, I mean, it is by one of my favorite manga authors. Kaneshiro did Kami-sama no Yutori, which is one of my favorite manga of the modern era. It translates to as God wills or as God commands.
God commands.
Yeah, which actually led to a Takashi Miike live action film. I really wish that we got that in the US. I know Kodansha has the rights, and Kodansha needs to publish it in English for everyone. But Blue Lock is phenomenal. It is a battle royale, life or death-esque story about soccer. So the quick pitch, I just got to give it since, Kyle went and threw me down this road, is Japan has never won a World Cup, but they have quickly moved up from being a country that didn't have soccer or football in there to quickly having teams that were making their way into the World Cup. So as one of the new female heads of Japan's national soccer group says, we need to change this, she puts together 300 of the best strikers in Japan with a simple rule. You are going to compete for number one. Number one gets to lead Japan in the next World Cup. However, if you fail, you're one of the 299 that don't make it, you're never allowed to play football in Japan ever again. It is life or death to these kids who have made football their life, and they are all competing for this position. And whether you know a word about soccer or football, if you don't know anything, you will still get drawn into this, as every single character's life means something. And this is the most important thing to them. And they're on the line to risk all of it to be number one. It is like nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love Blue Lock. Completely threw me off topic there, but yeah, if you have a chance, yeah.
And I'm gonna say it feels like I've been doing the reason that FOC is important pitch today. But again, this is why going to previewsworld.com, Final Orders Due, going to lunardistribution.com and going to the FOC section and looking at this stuff is so vitally important, because you may miss something if you don't do the research yourself. Like, rely on Mathias and I do a lot of the heavy lifting, but do it yourself. Do your own research. Do it yourself and go and look and see, hey, what is this thing? Let me read about this. Oh, I recognize it's 17 volumes in, but it's manga, so getting 17 volumes isn't unaccomplishable, because it isn't like it's Naruto where it's 7 million volumes.
Yeah.
So.
And then on top of that, it's easy to ask your local comic shop for a volume one. If your local comic shop, and you can take this information to them, has distribution through Diamond or Penguin Random House, you will be have access to order Blue Lock through them. Just talk to them, reach out and say, hey, hopefully they carry manga. If they don't, no worries. Not every shop can carry the wide range of everything that exists in the sequential art world. But if they have access to Diamond or Penguin Random House, feel free to reach out. Hey, I heard about this incredible new manga called Blue Lock. It's apparently held at both Diamond and Penguin Random House. If it's not already on the shelf, is there any possibility you could order it for me? Always a fun thing, because I know as a comic retailer, I know how we think. Generally, it's if somebody says, here's my money, please take it, and I can get, and I can order you that item, I'm happy to have that wonderful world of the comic shop gets money to continue on into tomorrow, and you guys get awesome reading that you will enjoy. So always reach out to your local comic shop. Just ask. If nothing else, maybe they can point you in the direction of an awesome place that sells manga. So, that was a fun twist. A little bit of a Kodansha push. So obviously, Morgan, the head of sales over at she's Square Enix. Whoops,
Square Enix.
Yep, I screwed that up.
Morgan, you have to check Mathias into a wall at Comics Pro now.
Ben Applegate. There you go. He'll appreciate that Kodansha push. But another one in the B range, obviously Buzz. We talked it up heavily. I cannot stress enough. This is a done-in-one incredible graphic novel that you will love, especially if you're a fan of Scott Pilgrim. But it's great for everyone. Buzz. Next up, here is a classic one I have to talk up. We're finally getting a hardcover of John Law. And a lot of people might be like, well, what is John Law? John Law is a classic Will Eisner story that was originally written in 1948 about a detective in a small town of Crossroads. And it very much has a similar vein of The Spirit, except it's not vigilantism. It's an actual, honest to God detective, but the story never happened. It actually went decades before we got John Law in print, thanks to Eclipse in the 1980s. And we finally got some John Law comics out along with other classic Will Eisner characters. 2004 is when we got the best collection of it, thanks to IDW putting together some John Law. It was phenomenal, but it was the year before Will Eisner passed. Will Eisner passed in 2005, which was quite unfortunate. And we haven't gotten any new John Law since. This is the coolest part about John Law. Now Titan is going to do a reproduction of all of that 2004 IDW's classic stories, even having original content going back to 1948 from Will Eisner. There's going to be a new original story with new John Law in there, as well as a great forward. And for $25, you cannot knock this. If you've ever been a fan of Will Eisner's classic stories, The Spirit or the like, I mean, you can see his style just so beautifully on that cover.
Right. Real fast. Will Eisner Week is coming up soon. Yes. So head over to Will Eisner Week, just Google it, and you can get the information for Will Eisner Week, which is a great celebration of classic Golden Age comics and Atomic Age comics, run in large part by friend of the channel, Danny Fingeroth. So shout out to Danny as well. But check that out while you're checking out John Law.
Yeah, this is going to be an incredible one. I cannot be more excited. $25. No reason not to grab that. So another big one in the C range, Crow, Flesh and Blood. Beautiful new cover as Sumerian is bringing us Crow for its big year of the Crow. And some of you hardcore Crow fans likely know, wait a second, I remember Flesh and Blood. Yes, you do. Flesh and Blood was the 1996 series by James O'Barr and Alex Maleev. They gave us our very first female Crow, Ira Shaw. It is getting reprinted in comic form. If I want to say correctly, it was an original graphic novel back in 96. I cannot recall if they had single issues back then, but they definitely haven't had single issues in decades. So, Crow, Flesh and Blood, retold as a 3-issue miniseries, not even retold, reprinted as a 3-issue miniseries with beautiful, beautiful covers across the board. This is going to be an amazing way if you guys want some new Crow stories. I know there were mixed emotions and feelings and a lot of disappointment with the recent Crow film. Well, here you are with classic James O'Barr Crow. Another one I got to point out, obviously, Conan the Barbarian, some beautiful covers, because I always love when they do a direct market edition. There's a Jay Lee exclusive cover you can only get at your local comic shop for Conan the Barbarian Volume 4. Jim Zub has just been doing a phenomenal job with this stuff. Also, great mass market Dan Panosian cover. Talk a lot more about Dan Panosian at DC, but for a man with such a long career in comics, this past year and going into 2025 have been stunning, stunning covers. Speaking of stunning covers, perhaps one of the hottest cover artists right now is Mark Spears. Everyone is flipping out about Mark Spears, and I think the big thing that started it all was Mark Spears' Monsters, the comic based off of his popular card set with those classic Universal characters. First printings of Mark Spears' Monsters are triple figure books now. So thank God there is a 4th printing with a brand new, awesome graveyard cover with all of your favorite Universal monsters, from Frankenstein's monster to Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Mummy, and more. This is awesome. And the coolest part is, well, you love these covers, and Mark Spears has been doing top tier covers across the board at DC, Image, Keen Spot, everywhere. the cool thing about this is he's not only doing the covers, he's doing the interiors. So this legendary guy that everyone's wanting to buy everything he does is doing the interiors on this book as well.
Well, and he just started doing Dynamite books too.
Yes, indeed. He's got that awesome cover that I love to death recently on Silverhawks that'll be out later this week, as well as he did 3 weeks.
He's got a Captain Planet.
Oh, I haven't seen the Captain Planet yet. That'll be exciting.
Let me see if I can pull it up here real fast here. No, he's definitely got a Captain Planet cover coming.
Awesome. Well, when you do that, I have to show another great one, Mothra, Queen of Monsters. I think everyone here is a kaiju fan. We definitely talk up kaiju on the Order Up show every week, but this one has me excited. We have Sophie Campbell doing Mothra, the queen of the monsters. If Godzilla is the king, Mothra has always been the queen. And I love the premise of this, as you get a bit of a time-traveling story with the fairies that basically protect and assist Mothra. I always love the Mothra movies. I hate to say it, I love the Mothra movies more than I do the Godzilla ones because they have more story. And I'm really excited about this awesome 4-issue miniseries. Some great covers available on it as well for Mothra. So fun to be had. IDW, kicking butt with their kaiju content. Rickomania, obviously we talked about that with Torma. Rick and Morty going into interdimensional wrestling. Mark Ellerby is going to be doing an awesome job with this one. So for everyone who is getting a new love for wrestling, thanks to recent documentaries and now streaming on Netflix, or even if you love your indie wrestling, this is going to be a little bit of everyone who loves wrestling, everyone who loves adult, dark, mature cartoons like Rick and Morty. Here's your book. A lot of fun on this week's FOC. So as I said,
Matthias, are you a big wrestling guy? Do you?
I say I'm not. I've only recently gotten into it thanks to some wonderful comics and comic creators like Aubrey Sitterson and Michael Kingston. They've been kind of holding my hand through it. I've discovered Rhea Ripley, who I think is just awesome. But I'm new to the wrestling scene.
Yeah, so I am the resident wrestle boy here. I get it.
Yeah,
but no, I just it's one of those things is that wrestling is having a moment, and it's just one of those things that I'm enjoying. So the fact that there are so many great wrestling books. But real fast, Mark Spears, Captain Planet, A cover.
Oh, I love the beard. We're out of the clean shave. You still get the clean shaven in the logo, so that's fun. But yeah, that'll be fun. We need to make sure we have David Pipos on to talk up Captain Planet when we get to
We can make it happen.
All right, that sounds great. So last big indie before I switch over to DC is Usagi Ojimbo, 10,000 Plums. I used to work with Stan. He is one of the nicest human beings in comics. Look, that gets thrown around a lot. But Stan Sakai might be literally, by a mile, the nicest man in comics. We get the start of his newest miniseries, Legacy numbering. This is issue 280. So we're coming up on that big issue 300. But this is awesome because every time he's done a new miniseries since returning to Dark Horse, he's brought back a classic character. Here, as you can see on the C cover by Arita Mitsuhiro, we get Gen back, the big rhino Gen. Not only are you going to still continue following Miyamoto Usagi, you will also have Yukichi, his new apprentice, and now we get Gen. This is going to be awesome. A good follow-up to Crow. This will be a new 5-issue miniseries getting us up through issue 285. I am beyond excited about 10,000 Plums. So beautiful, beautiful cover right there by Mitsuhiro, also with all of the sakura flowers in the background. But all of this is awesome. So a lot of fun there. I think it's time we switch over to Lunar Distribution, though. As you can see, previewsworld.com/final orders due. An easy way to check out the majority of FOC titles from everyone else. But if you want DC, you need to go to Lunar Distribution. You're going to be presented with a web page like this. You can scroll down just a small amount to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're clicked on the right date. This will be for January 27th, this coming Monday. And you can see everything by clicking along with us, including the continuation of our Batman Hush facsimiles with foil opportunity to get those Jim Lee covers, preparing you for the big Batman 158, where we get the sequel to Hush. We're also seeing things like Batman and Robin Year One. There are 2 Batman and Robin series currently coming out from DC. Year One has Mark Waid doing a very fun early tale of Batman and the fresh Robin that is Dick Grayson. Well, Philip Kennedy Johnson is giving us our slightly darker alternate one. We get a second printing of Dark Patterns, which is Dan Waters' big Batman detective story. This, we talked it up on a very early FOC show, and I hear a lot of stores did not order enough. I can even admit I am one of them. This is a massive hit. Dan Waters also, I believe, is giving us our current Nightwing run. So this is a fun one, and I'm glad to see a second printing so people who missed out on the initial run can grab it. We also have a theme of Hush variants as we lead into the Hush sequel. This month is going to have a bunch of great Batman Hush homage covers or Hush themed covers across the DC books. That is one of them by Tyler Kirkham on World's Finest 36. World's Finest 36, also a little bit of fun as they do the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea storyline, which is going to give us a really unique crossover of Swamp Thing and Aquaman with Batman and Superman as they fight the Floronic Man. It's an interesting. It's, a little bit of water, a little bit of green. As you can see on here, you'll also see other publishers. We're mainly going to be focusing on DC because we've already covered everything. As my son is falling in love with Loud House and Casa Grandes, this is a fun one for anybody who wants a Spanish version of a book. The Casa Grandes is a popular cartoon that deals with a Latino and Latina family in the city. So having a Spanish language edition, which is great either if you speak Spanish, want to get your young Spanish speaking child into it, or you want to work on your Spanish, this Loud House 3-in-1 volume will be a really cool one. I think this is going to be where my son starts learning a little bit more Spanish as I try and get him to read this. But really wonderful when publishers give American comic shops a chance at foreign language editions. We don't get that enough. I know DC's done that with Blue Beetle, and we've seen it through a few other publishers, but that is a really great one from Paper Cuts and Mad Cave. Beautiful, beautiful covers on Catwoman, I need to point out. Dan Panosian, again, this past year and going into 2025 is going to be the year of Dan Panosian. Look at that stunning cover on Catwoman 73. There's another awesome one I'll show you when we get to Nightwing. But a ton of titles. You're going to want to go to lunardistribution.com to see all the DC books that are on FOC this week. As Creature Commandos has its penultimate issue. Luana Vecchio's amazing prequel to Lovesick continuing on with its penultimate issue on Doll Parts. We have a lot of fun on FOC, but we have been running late on this show. So I want to point out the final issue, issue 7 on Jenny Sparks. Tom King taking one of my favorite Wildstorm characters, one of the key figures of the Authority, and giving her a stunning solo series. If you haven't been reading this, you need to check out Jenny Sparks. There's that stunning Dan Panosian B cover of Nightwing 123. A little bit of Dick Grayson, a little bit of Barbara Gordon on there.
That's such a good one. That's the cover I want.
Yeah, I got to say, Dan Panosian, he's got a long career in comics, but man, the covers he has been producing over the past year has just been a whole other level. Although a little bit of love for Lucille Perillo with that question cover for question number 4. Alex Segura, talk about, creators who are having a big year. Alex Segura is writing everything from Green Hornet and Miss Fury. He's been announced as the new ongoing Star Wars writer for the main Star Wars series hitting in May. He's, been at DC with The Question. He's everywhere. I mean,
he's writing Dick Tracy for Mad Cave.
Yeah, literally. He's got his hands in every single publisher writing some crazy characters. I remember back when he was just doing the blog at DC. But that is an awesome one. But DC's having a nice calm week, a lot of continuing series. I got to give a lot of love to John Layman and more so Pete Wood for this unbelievable cover on Titans 20 that is just like classic 50s and 60s romance comic to the word bubble. I don't know if Pete Woods was the guy who came up with the words for this word bubble or if that was the editor on Titans or maybe John Layman, but even the solicitation just screams 1950s romance comics in every way that I'm amused by. So if you've ever been a fan of that, if you're not reading John Layman's incredible run on Titans, it has been solid. John loves his team books. He's doing the team book for Spawn with Scorched. He's had a number of great ones. And of course, we get to see John return to his classic Chew artist, Rob Guillory, for a C cover on Titans 20. So a lot of fun there. Final issue of Toxic Avengers from Ahoy. This is really great because we just got news that 2025 will finally see a wide theatrical release for the new Peter Dinklage Toxic Avengers. So if you haven't been grabbing Matt Bohr's Toxic Avenger comic at Ahoy, now's the time to reach out, track down the back issues, get number 5 on order.
Absolutely. And then you scrolled past it real fast. It's the last issue of Tiger's Tongue. I don't want to go into it because I've already gotten Mathias off of, or the Tiger's Tongue trade paperback. If you didn't read Tiger's Tongue, real interesting book, real interesting concept. I don't want to get us too far off topic here, but that's one to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, always, as Kyle said, we try and help spotlight stuff, but you got to do your own research. Take a look through these amazing websites and all the various comics on FOC because there's a lot of things we just don't have time for. I know that Kyle needs us to wrap up in the next 10 minutes, so we're going to really quickly hit the last DC one before we do our top 10, but take a moment, and look through these things. But the big one I have to end on, Wonder Woman 18 is great, and I love that 1 in 25 with Wonder Woman's daughter, Trinity, there. It's Zatanna. Jamal Campbell is writing and drawing a new 6-issue miniseries on Zatanna. Zatanna Zatara. Her father first appeared alongside Superman in Action Comics #1, but she stole my heart from her first appearance in Hawkman, and I am beyond excited to see Jamal Campbell's. Actually, can you load up the preview pages, Kyle, for this Zatanna? Because Jamal not only is a brilliant writer, but he is a brilliant artist. And you look at these, this artwork. This is amazing. You can go to lunardistribution.com and load up this preview if you want to give it a read. It is a simple 3 to 4 page preview, but look at that artwork. I mean, I love a splash page that gives like everything.
There's something here that I don't like on this first page where it's sort of like eyeless, faceless Mario art that I just don't love. But when you see this panel and then you come down to this page and it's all this super in-depth with a ton of detail art.
Giving you the full story of Zatanna's history in like a splash page.
Right. That I really dig. That, is super fascinating, super interesting to me.
Yeah.
The dichotomy.
Yeah. Jamal is a very talented artist. Not only the fact that he is such a talented writer, but a talented artist where he can have literally like 4 different art styles in the first 4 pages and then do a Grant Morrison quality, everyone will reference the absolute Superman, or sorry, not absolute, all-star Superman, Grant Morrison 2-page origin of Superman. This is up there with that, and I love that outside of the flashing, he doesn't even use the full 2-page splash. Because then he's able to flash forward, otherwise, a panelless origin of the sordid history of the Zatara family. Solid stuff. This is going to be a brilliant 6-issue miniseries. You need to reach out to your local comic shop. There are several incredible covers, including an ultra-limited, only 2,500 copies in existence, foil showcase by Derek Chu. I want to point out, very expensive MSRP. That is a $25 one, but if you want a really cool limited edition one, stores could get allocated, so reach out to your local comic shop. Forgive them if allocations happen, but hopefully if you tell them sooner rather than later, you can get yourself a copy. But this is going to be big. The last Zatanna miniseries was selling out hand over fist everywhere. Everyone was buying multiple copies. There are 3 different foil covers. There is a blank, so you can get your own cover on it. A lot of cover options on Zatanna, which will lead us in to our top 10 to wrap this week, because that one's going to be huge. So let's dive in to our top 10 books for Final Order Cutoff this Monday, January 27th. And we're going to start off with an honorable mention. If you remember back at the start of the show, which was almost 2 hours ago, we had a cover that had not yet been revealed. This is how last minute these things can come together. But this is the D cover of Luana Vecchio's Doll Parts #3 by Jessica Siofi. I think it's Siofi. I apologize, Jessica. But beautiful cover. I love like the Sanrio-esque dagger in there. Just everything about this is stunning. So it had to be an honorable mention because we had already put together the top 10 by the time this cover was revealed early this morning. So let's go into the top 10 with Darkwing Ducks, that Baldari cover that has the hero landing with Darkwing himself. This is going to be a really cool one. Spot number 9, we have that stunning cover by Terry and Rachel Dodson of Captain America and Volstagg, an unexpected duo. 8, that is not our Star Wars.
Not the right cover. I messed that up. That's on me.
No worries. I will tab over and get that. That was the.
Just give me 30 seconds. I got it here.
Okay, yeah. But Brian Stelfreeze, always an incredible cover artist and interior artist too. I mean, his Black Panther will live on for the rest of my life in my memory. But him doing this awesome Star Wars Rise of Skywalker adaptation cover that has all of our heroes in the silhouette of Rey. When we get that on screen, that is a beautiful one that I think a lot of people are going to want, particularly those who have a love of the sequel characters. You look at that classic Carrie Fisher right there, but you have just everything. And it is a stunning piece of art. Going into spot number 7, whenever I think Usagi Yojimbo, I also affiliate it with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So getting the Escorza brothers, who bring us the incredible Last Ronin artwork, this is an awesome one. And it's a spotlight on Yukichi, the apprentice of Miyamoto Usagi. So cool cover. I think that's going to be a great one. And a brilliant way to start off that new miniseries. Fantastic Four, number 29. The incredible Eric Gist doing this unbelievable cover with the Sorcerer Supreme himself, Dr. Doom. This is going to be tying into the One World Under Doom as the Fantastic Four return to New York and try to deal with Doom's takeover. Ben Grimm is going to be trying to distract Sue from everything that's been going on with a bit of a She-Hulk team up. So if you're a She-Hulk fan, this is a book. But man, look at that cover that Eric has painted. The original, phenomenal. I mean, it looks even better than that. But Eric is a whole other level when he paints.
You know who, looking at this cover, it makes me wish I'd got to play Mr. Fantastic.
Who's that?
Vincent Price.
If Vincent Price were still alive, it would be an interesting take. It would be a very interesting take. Although I'd love Vincent Price for the voice of Dr. Doom, though, too.
Oh, absolutely. But I like just Vincent Price as Mr. Fantastic. I can hear it now.
But I don't want him to shave his mustache if he does that.
No. He keeps the mustache.
Yeah. It'll be the modern Cesar Romero in a world that could have existed. All right. You heard us talk about Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk earlier. This issue number 3 is going to have the first appearance of Dragonfire. Well, she's on the A cover. I have to give it to Paco Diaz, where she is the spotlight of this cover. I'm gonna buy multiple copies of this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm always a fan of anything Kunlun. I love my Danny Rand and my Iron Fist. So Dragonfire, you're getting my attention. Frank Thierry, thank you for creating this character. And Paco Diaz, wow, that is a cover. All right, now we hit into the rest of the top 5. Number 4, Herculoids. Look at that. Mike Mignola doing Herculoids. Not something I would have ever guessed, but damn, it is something I didn't know I wanted. That is an incredible cover. It's Hellboy-esque while still Herculoids.
Very.
Yeah. Then Sozo Micah's Incredible Zatanna number 1 cover. You can get this both foil and non-foil on the same day of release, so let your store know. C is the non-foil cover. There is a foil alternative for just, I want to say, $2 more. And Micah has always been a very, very talented artist. She is brilliant when it comes to doing clothing design and posture, and posing for the characters. So this lives up to it. And I love the little Hollywood star Z that Micah has given Zatanna Zatara.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is I can't wait for this to be one of those DC Select figures.
Yeah,
that you can get where it's Zatanna on a pedestal in this pose with the star and everything.
Yeah, I would kill. Come on, McFarlane. That's the statue we need.
It's true.
Yeah. So, number 2, here's a huge one I got to point out. Ultimate X-Men number 12. This is a Peach Momoko cover, and it's a nod to a cover she did, I want to say about 6 years ago on Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider number 2, back in 2019. Peach had done a ratio variant. It was a 1 in 25 of Gwen holding up her cell phone camera, revealing her identity over the Spider-Gwen outfit. That is a 1 in 25 cover that sells for hundreds of dollars now. It is a super in-demand cover. Everybody wants it. So with this nod, this is going to be a huge one for Ultimate X-Men number 12. It is not a ratio cover. It is an open order cover. So let your store know you need that Momoko cover, because this is likely to have a big aftermarket demand. It is a stunning piece, and it would sit wonderfully right next to your Ghost Spider number 2 if you already happen to own that. But now we got to get to the big one, the number 1. Vilchez's stunning Crow number 1. Obviously, Iris Shaw was an iconic wielder of the Crow, the first female to wield the Crow. I shouldn't say wield the Crow like it's wielding the Green Lantern ring or something, but to become the Crow. This is a beautiful, beautiful cover. I think it's going to draw a lot of readers to this cover on the shelf, and probably get people who've never even read Crow into checking it out. And then for longtime fans who even have the original Flesh and Blood Crow series, this is a must-have new cover, new way to own it. I think it has definitely got the top spot of this week's. So make sure you get your orders into your local comic shop before Monday, January 27th, with all the covers, all of the comics, all of the series that you want, even these other things that we talked about that are older series, like Mine is a Lonesome Grave or Blue Lock. The sooner you can, the better, so you can enjoy these amazing books when they release over the next few months. All right. I mean, it was a long show, longest one we've done, right, Kyle?
Yes, it is. But, we had Torma, so it felt shorter. Like,
yeah,
when in the course of human events, Torma shows up, things feel shorter. So,
and Torma knows how to lift the show. I mean, I don't know if you know, he's one of the stronger guys in comics. We were talking back at Comic-Con. I think he can lift 4 long boxes at a time. So of course he's going to lift the weight of a 2-hour-long show.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's it was a long show, but it was good. It was a good long show.
Yeah.
So no problem. Next week will definitely be shorter.
Yeah.
But this was also a big FOC week. We've talked about this before. Some weeks on FOC are bigger, some weeks on FOC are smaller. There's always some fluctuation as publishers have their schedules change based on their own needs. So this show will change based on kind of the weight of FOC. So just know that when you come for Order Up, you come until the final course is served, which in this case is the Crow. And shout out to my buddy Jim, who is writing that. And I wish we could get him on the show, but he doesn't do interviews. So, one of those things. But just know, guys, we're here. We want to get you this information. So if there is something you're looking forward to on FOC, make sure you reach out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you don't have a shop, you don't have a local comic shop, you can't find a local comic shop nearby to you, Comic Shop Locator can help with that, but so can Matthias. I'm putting a link in the comments right now. If there's something you saw that you don't have a place you can order, you can totally reach out to Matthias and get that from his shop. So make sure you do that. Trade Paper Dad has a diamond bankruptcy affected the FOC. Not so much yet, but we're starting to see some of that with the Boom announcement we talked about today. Some of the stuff that happened with Image last week. Things seem to be somewhat normalizing, but again, we just have to kind of play it by ear. There's a lot of change right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I know that some people are bringing the doom and gloom of Diamond. I've been a customer of Diamond for 3 decades, and I cannot express how important and valuable they have been to the industry this entire time, providing things like Comic Shop Locator, Previews World, so you can see. I mean, we wouldn't have Final Order Cutoff if it wasn't for Diamond, as well as, some interesting lawsuits between the incredible Brian Hibbs and Marvel. But that's a whole other episode we'll have at some point, where we'll have to bring Brian Hibbs in to talk about the origins of FOC. But Diamond has always played a major role, and it is unfortunate to see them in this declaration of bankruptcy, but they've been playing ball rather well, and obviously even with changes like Image and Boom, we're still seeing the information being provided, so we have to be thankful for that. No matter what, this show will adapt as we have, and we will find ways of getting you all the items on Final Order Cutoff week after week with incredible guests to talk about these items and spotlights on the books that need to be spotlighted. But for now, we can thankfully send you always to previewsworld.com/finalordersdue and Lunar Distribution to see all those things.
Absolutely. So with that said, we will see everyone back here, same bat time, same bat channel, for a shorter bat episode next week for Final Order Cutoff, for Order Up. Stay tuned here on the Experience today. Nikki is taking another week off as he sorts out some of the stuff from the Diamond Fallout and kind of gets Dynamite on the rails a little bit there. He's taking another week off from the art show, but 9:00 Eastern, Nancy McCann from Comics Unlimited will have all kinds of great books. She had to take a week off last week as there was a tragedy in their store family. And so they were dealing with that. But that just means Nancy has more killer stuff she found in the millions of books she has on offer for you tonight on the FOC show. And then Monday, Comic Collectibles will be back at full throttle, as will Best Coast Comics with Bronze Age Nerd and Big B McFly. Hopefully we will have an announcement on Monday about a big interview with a creator of a book who will be joining this show at some point once we get some FOC dates nailed down for this book. But, if you're a fan of a guy who's like red with a lot of black and white and is named Al. Anyway, yeah. So be on the lookout for that kind of stuff. Thank you once again to Torma for being here. Thank you to everybody in the chat, Trade Paper Dad, Danny Ward, JD Smith, digital artist, True Megatherion, Heidi, and then over on Instagram, everybody who joined us over on the IG, Brent, Triple B, the Art Narcissist, TSM Art, Jeremy Holt Books, all you guys who are watching over on Instagram, thank you for being here as well. We will see everybody next time.
Yeah, spread it around. Let everyone know the comics are on FOC. This is still a great show to watch all the way through Monday, so everyone can be made aware of what's coming out next month.
Tell your local comic shop to put us on their TV. We promise. We don't bite.
Help to sell.
All right. Later days, everybody. I'm pressing the button and the button's not working.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.